Imagine standing right there at the foot of the Great Pyramids of Giza. These huge, silent structures that have just stood against time for thousands of years. Now picture this. They're starting to whisper a secret, not like with words, but
Well,
with heat, mysterious warmth, coming from deep inside those ancient stones. It's a pretty wild image, isn't it?
it really is. And what's amazing is that this isn't just some poetic idea. It's actually happening. We're seeing it with modern technology.
Oh,
So yeah, this deep dive is all about this strange thing, these major heat anomalies they've detected inside the Giza pyramids and even other ancient places.
right.
We're going to try and unpack what the thermal imaging is really showing us and look at the history, which makes it all so difficult to figure out and think about what it all might mean.
Exactly. Our mission today is basically to take all these interesting clues, the thermal scan reports, stories about lost knowledge, even some frankly amazing stuff about the traps built into these
Well,
places,
yeah, the defenses.
and really go beyond the headlines. Try and figure out what these heat signatures might actually be telling us. So you ready to get into this? Ancient past meets modern science.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So the core mystery then, pyramids warming up. When we talk about major heat anomalies, what are the researchers actually seeing? Is it subtle, or are these red heat signatures really obvious?
They're actually quite distinct visually. I mean, the images show these red heat signatures coming from somewhere inside of the pyramid.
Hmm.
It looks like specific bricks in the rows are getting hotter.
Hmm.
You see, thermal imaging, it doesn't just show hot or cold. It picks up tiny differences in the infrared radiation surfaces give off. So if you get a noticeable temperature difference, maybe a few degrees between stones right next to each other,
Okay.
that can strongly suggest there's something different behind them, maybe a gap or a different kind of stone or even air moving. Because those things change how the stone absorbs and releases heat. It's kind of like a heat X-ray, basically, seeing under the surface.
And this isn't just like one random hot brick on one pyramid, is it?
No, and that's really important. It's not isolated. The scans show that it isn't just one pyramid either.
Right.
In fact, various pyramids are showing these strange heat signatures, and that includes the biggest one at Giza, Khufu's pyramid. The fact that it's widespread kind of points towards something more systemic, not just a one-off weird spot.
Okay, so how do we know it's not just, the desert sun baking one side, or maybe stones cooling down differently at night? Did they think about that?
Oh, definitely. They were very careful about that.
Yeah.
To rule out the simple stuff, they took thermal scans at 4 different times of the day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, specifically to factor out the sun heating things up or different cooling rates at night. They basically eliminated the most obvious environmental causes first, which makes the anomalies they did find much more intriguing.
So if it's not the sun or the night cooling,
Yeah.
what are the scientists thinking? What's the first guess for what these heat spots could be?
Well, the working assumption right now is that the thermal images might be showing what is some kind of passageway leading to a large room that is heating up.
A passageway.
Yeah, that's a theory based on, how heat moves through solid stuff. And there's more. They also found other heat signature anomalies in the upper half of the pyramid that the experts say need to be investigated further. So it's not just one area, it seems to be multiple spots and at different heights inside the pyramid.
Okay, this is where it gets really specific and interesting. Down at the lower level of the Great Pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, or Cheops as some call it, they found this particular spot, an area of neighboring blocks that had a heat temperature gap far greater than would normally be expected, even for blocks made of slightly different limestone. That sounds significant. What does that mean?
Yeah, that is really crucial because think about it. Air gaps or hollow spaces, they just don't hold heat as well as solid rock or sand does.
Right.
So if you see a really noticeable temperature difference between stones right next to each other, it's a strong hint that there might be a void, maybe a chamber, hidden just under the surface. This specific find at Khufu, it kind of challenges what we thought we knew about how they built these things. It hints at, well, either some unknown natural geology going on inside, or maybe a really sophisticated, deliberate internal system hidden in there, something dormant for ages.
A hidden system.
It suggests a level of complexity we're maybe just starting to glimpse.
So where are we now with this? Have they solved it? Are they about to, announce they found a secret room?
And not quite yet. Everything we're hearing is that this is still an ongoing investigation. There's been no official word on what was causing this mysterious heat.
Yeah.
And the research team themselves are pretty clear. They still aren't certain exactly what it is or why. It's a real puzzle still unfolding. Needs a lot of patience, careful work.
This uncertainty, this why that science can't quite pin down yet. It really highlights a massive problem when studying these ancient places, doesn't it? This huge gap in our knowledge. I mean, these pyramids are incredibly old, estimated 4,500 years.
Yeah, mind-boggling.
And that means there's little to no information directly passed down from that culture available today. We literally can't just ask the people who built them what's going on.
Exactly. And that massive historical blind spot, you can really see it embodied in the story of the Library of Alexandria. This wasn't just, a library, it was huge. Not only the largest repository of scrolls and books available in Egypt at the time, but probably the largest collection of written information in one place in history.
Just imagine all that knowledge, science, philosophy, engineering, history just gone.
It's a devastating loss.
And even how it was lost, how it was destroyed, that's still a mystery too.
Yeah.
There's no single answer for who burned it down, is there? What are some of the stories?
Well, there are various theories, guesses, really. Some fingers point to Julius Caesar himself, maybe accidentally during a siege. Others, like Edward Gibbon, suggested a later bishop, Gregory.
Right.
But the tricky part, the reason it's so hard to know for sure, is that all the accusers themselves seem to have had problems with the people they were accusing, either personal grudges or religious conflicts, which, makes the accusations questionable at best. It's like a historical cold case. We just can't definitively say who did it or even get all the details straight.
So the loss of the library isn't just some sad historical footnote. It's like an active problem now, stopping us from understanding what the ancients really knew, scientifically or engineering-wise. How does that connect back to these pyramid heat spots?
Directly. It's precisely because of all the loss of literature that the modern-day scientists have no idea why thermal scans are showing what looks like heat coming from inside. We're seeing a symptom, but the original manual, the explanation, it's lost. Without those ancient texts, we're stuck trying to reverse engineer purposes and technologies that were probably once well documented. We're relying on educated guesses from archaeology instead of, actual understanding from the source.
And it's not just the missing books that make investigating hard. There are real dangers, real obstacles to just going in there and looking around. Getting access is tough, right?
Absolutely. It isn't easy to gain access to inside any of these pyramids, even if it was for the pursuit of knowledge. You can't just wander in with a thermal camera.
And then there's the whole political side of it, too.
Oh, definitely. Entering the sacred pyramids is still a hot political topic in Egypt.
No.
It's about national heritage, it's about religious feelings, cultural identity. It's complicated.
So that means
It means it may be a long time until anybody is able to personally investigate these heat anomalies up close. Sometimes bureaucracy and politics are bigger obstacles than stone walls, maybe harder to get past even.
speaking of obstacles, let's talk about the actual physical defenses, the traps. This isn't just movie stuff. The ancient engineers were serious about keeping people out. What kind of scary things did they come up with?
Well, these defenses, you find them in various ancient cultures, and they really show how badly they wanted to protect certain places or knowledge. One really nasty one was hematite powder.
Hematite powder, what's that?
It's described as a sharp metallic dust, basically designed to cause a slow and painful death to those who inhaled enough of it. Really horrible stuff.
And that's not just a legend. There's that story about Dr. Zahi Hawass, the famous Egyptian archaeologist, the real-life Indiana Jones. What happened with his team?
Right. Back in 2001, his team went into a tomb in the Baharia Oasis, and they found the sarcophagus booby-trapped with 8 inches, a thick layer of this stuff.
8 inches. Wow.
Yeah. It was so dangerous they had to abandon their expedition right then and there. They couldn't go back until they had hazmat suits and respirators. It just shows you these ancient hazards can still be deadly thousands of years later.
And then, of course, you have the idea of mummy curses. Now, okay, probably no actual magic curses.
Yeah.
But the idea of them was incredibly effective, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Probably one of the most effective anti-Tomb Raider devices ever designed, just purely psychologically.
Right.
And that whole legend got a massive boost back in the 1920s when many members of the Howard Carter's 1923 King Tut expedition subsequently died from unusual causes. Coincidence or not, it definitely fueled the myth and scared people off.
So besides dust and curses, they also use the building itself as a defense with things like labyrinths.
Exactly. Super complex designs. You'd find false rooms, secret doors, and miles of mazes. The whole point was that a prospective Tomb Raider was likely to get lost forever.
Just wander around until, grim.
It was death by confusion, really. Designed so intruders would never find the real treasure and never find their way out either.
And this kind of clever, deadly engineering wasn't just in Egypt. Other ancient civilizations did similar things, right? Like in China.
That's right. A great example is when explorers were looking into Emperor Qin Shi Huang's tomb, the terracotta army guy.
What did they find there?
They found evidence of numerous pressure plate crossbow traps. And get this, they were carefully coated with a preservative called chromate, which means they were probably still working 2,000 years later.
Still working crossbows. That's terrifying.
It shows incredible knowledge of mechanics and chemistry, metallurgy, and a serious commitment across cultures to guarding these places with some pretty sophisticated tech for the time.
Okay, so let's pull back a bit. We've got these definite heat signatures. We've got this huge gap in historical knowledge. We have these massive difficulties, political and physical, in just going in to check. So naturally, this leads to some, speculation, right? What are some of the more, let's say, out there ideas people have about this?
Well, yeah, the mystery has definitely caught the attention of people outside mainstream archaeology. Ufologists, for instance, people who study unexplained phenomena, sometimes with an extraterrestrial angle, they're now claiming that pyramids throughout the planet are all showing anomalies of heat signatures, not just Giza, but globally.
All pyramids. Wow. And what do they think this global warming of pyramids might mean?
Well, their belief, which is pretty intriguing, is that this could be a sign of upcoming events. Or maybe that these heat signatures are trying to warn us about an upcoming event.
Oh, warming.
Yeah, it's one way people are trying to make sense of it, connecting these ancient sites to potential future happenings. But, it's important to keep in mind that this is very much in the realm of speculation, alternative interpretations.
So at the end of the day, we're still left staring at these fundamental questions. What is causing this heat in structures that have stood for millennia? Why is it apparently happening now? And what, if anything, does it really mean? The answers are, well, they're still buried, maybe literally.
It really does leave you with this deep sense of wonder, doesn't it? And just how many secrets the past might still be holding on to.
We've really unpacked a lot here today, haven't we? Going from this high-tech thermal imaging, finding unexpected heat, to thinking about lost libraries and even ancient booby traps.
Yeah, it's a story that stretches across thousands of years, all brought into focus by this modern tech.
And that leads to maybe the biggest, most provocative thought to leave everyone with. If these incredible structures, built by people whose knowledge is largely lost to us, if they're now reacting somehow or revealing something new through our technology, what does that say about their original purpose?
Right. It forces us to question our basic assumptions about what the pyramids even were.
Exactly. Could this subtle warming tell us something about how stable they are long term? Or maybe it hints at some hidden function we haven't even guessed at yet. It just leaves us with that huge question. What else is buried in the past, just waiting for us to find the key if we ever can?
Yeah.